enjoy the keynote?
Yes.
Very, very good. Very good. Well, without further ado, I get to introduce this illustrious panel, which I'm standing in front of. I'm really sorry. I'm not going to take up a lot of the time. You can see their thorough bios. And when they go through each of their stories, you know, the who's going to kind of come out. But I want to introduce the panel moderators, Beth Germain and Terry Johnson. They're going to lead this illustrious group. We have Daryl Smith, raise your hand, Daryl, Kyle Keller, Noreen Brown, Bruce Hazelton, down on that end. Over here we have Tim Roche, Nick Kilpatrick, Lisa Bongiorno, and Frank Guyat. So, take it away.
Thank you. So we wanted to get together today. All of these individuals that are up here on the panel have been at different stages of self-directing their lives. So we're going to kind of talk today a little bit about their journey, their path to where they are today, and some of the lessons learned. Because one of the things as we were putting this together, I think it's something we already knew, but they certainly have taught us a lot in having people self-direct their services and helped us learn what to do for the next people that are going down these paths. Will this work? No, I don't have my clicker, so I stand here and I'm trying not to lot of Frank. So as we move forward, the first person we're going to talk about is Daryl. Daryl lived in a residential group home for over 30 years and had several times over the course of his life expressed an interest to do something different and to live his life a different way. And it really never happened for him for a really long time, right? Daryl, how old are you? 67. So for many, many years, Daryl lived in a house that had between 8 and 10 people in it, I think, and a lot of them were people a lot younger than him that were pretty loud. Daryl likes peace and quiet, likes to be kind of by himself, and it wasn't necessarily always a good fit for him. And he had been telling that to people for a long time, and his friend Karen, who at one point had been a paid staff person for him, and then later on in life became his friend, made a recommendation for Daryl to get connected with Beth so that Beth could start helping him map out a plan for his life and how he could move his life forward and move into his own apartment. And at the time that Daryl was going through this process, we had to pick out some people that were going to help him, and Beth kind of helped him identify some people that he thought would help him. And he picked 3 people that he felt would support him in this next stage of his life. One of them was a former house manager in his group home. One of them was his friend Karen. And I'm proud to say the other person is me. I had worked with Daryl 15 years ago, I think, helping him find a job. And we had kind of not connected or lost touch over the years when we weren't working together. And I came back into Daryl's life because he had expressed an interest in me helping support him through this process. So as we started meeting and planning all of the things that Daryl was going to have to do to live on his own, we discovered that Daryl had a large team of people. He had a residential team, and then he had the 3 of us that were trying to help him move out. And we discovered the team was pretty divided. And not because anybody had anything against Daryl, but because people were concerned for Daryl, and people were worried that Daryl was going to be taken advantage of or maybe not be as successful as he could be on his own. So the team of people that he had chosen kind of came up with a game plan and said, we know that we're going to be there with Daryl once he moves out. So we need to work on this with Daryl and for Daryl because this is what he has expressed that he wanted us to do. So we started meeting separately and coming up with a plan of what he needed to work on in order to get to that stage in his life. And we kind of divided and conquered. Some of us kind of were responsible for his medical needs. Some of us were kind of responsible for his financial needs. Some of us, took him apartment shopping and figured out all of the things he was going to need to buy. So when it came time for him to move out and we found his first apartment, we took Daryl shopping. And one thing about Daryl is that he loves the color red. So I wish I had taken the time to get pictures of his apartment because everything in Daryl's apartment is red. That's his red entertainment center his TV is on. He's got red pots and pans in his shopping cart there. He has red couch, red leather couch, red plates, a red can opener, things I didn't even know they made in red. Daryl has them red, right? And we were so excited for Daryl's first night, and I have to admit, it didn't come without reservations and nerves. The first night, Daryl was going to sleep in his own apartment by himself. We got him all set up. He was all moved in. His staff were going home for the night, and he was on his own. And he had been talking for probably a couple of weeks of what he was going to have for dinner his first night. Do you remember what you had for dinner your first night? What was it? A can of corned beef hash. That was not on the menu in your food hall, was it? So he was all set, and made sure he'd gone and gotten groceries that day. He had his corned beef hash, he had his can opener, he was all set. So I went home, went to bed, 3 o'clock in the morning, I jumped up in a panic. And I said, oh my God, we forgot to buy silverware. Out of everything we got, Daryl, we forgot to buy the silverware. It wasn't on the list, and so I panicked. And I admit that I didn't necessarily have the confidence in Daryl that he was going to work himself through that. And instantly in my head at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I can tell you I didn't go back to sleep, I thought, oh my God, he didn't eat. He's going to be hungry. What's he going to do? We didn't have all the things that he needed, and it's my fault because I didn't make sure he had the silverware. And so I got up in the morning and I grabbed some silverware from my house and I rushed over to his apartment. And another thing about Daryl is he likes to stay up all night and watch TV and sleep half the day, which is why his residential setting didn't really work for him because that really wasn't a good option for him. So he, of course, at like 7:30 in the morning, I'm pounding on his door and he's sound asleep to the world, didn't want to get up. Finally gets up, he's groggy, he comes to the door, and I said, did you eat anything last night? Yeah. So what did you have? Corned beef hash. I said, what did you use? He pointed to the sink, and there was the ice cream scoop. So it taught me an awful lot about Daryl, and it taught me that I needed to give him more credit, and that I knew he was going to be okay, because we didn't give him all of the tools that he needed, and he was fine. He worked it out, and he improvised with what he had and the tools and the resources that he had. So he certainly taught me a lot, and then I'm like, okay, I need to let go a little bit and let him live his life the way he wants to live it. So now Daryl has been living on his own for how many years now? How long have you been living in your apartment? Yeah, 2.5 to 3 years, in that range, right? And he spends his holidays with his circle members, and all of our families have grown to love him. On the first Thanksgiving, when he came to my house for Thanksgiving dinner, he came with a pie. He had gone to Wegmans and bought a pie, and he knew that, that's the thing to do. You go to somebody's house for a holiday and you bring something. So he brought a pie to Thanksgiving dinner and enjoyed it a lot of it himself. He's been able to go on vacation since living on his own. He went to Florida for a vacation. He's planning on another vacation. Daryl, do you want to move back to Boston? No? No? Do you want to stay in your apartment? No. Okay, Daryl. Who do you live with? Where's your cat? You got a cat? What's her name? Katie. Daryl's cat is his best friend, and he has wanted a pet for as long as I've known him. He loves animals, and his pet, Katie, I'm pretty sure Daryl is the only person that she likes. I'm definitely not one of them that Katie likes. And every time we go over, he's in the chair and Katie is right there on his lap and has really become one of his best friends. And Daryl loves the peace and quiet and loves being able to do what he wants to do. And he's changed all of his traditional services that he once had. When he first moved out, he was still going to day hab and still doing those things, and he's really stopped. He's, at that stage, he's 67 years old and he's retired and he wants to live his retired life the way he wants to do it.
He pretty much said, I've been going to the same place for the last 30 years, every day seeing the same people, and I don't want to do it anymore. Right?
Next, we're going to talk about Mr. Bruce.
This is Bruce. Bruce, when he decided he wanted to move out, he also lived in Ira for how many years?
20
For about 20 years?
20 years,
Yep, and you wanted to move out,
yes.
and so we got a team of people together to help you do that. And he also was met initially with some adversity from some of your people in your family, right? There were some
Yes.
people that were, wanted to support you, and there were other people that were really worried. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yep. So, Bruce, pretty much from the day you moved into an apartment by WCA Hospital, right? Can you tell us about some of the things that happened while you were there?
when I was there, somebody booked my apartment, some stuff.
How many?
3 times they booked my apartment. So I got the cops and the judge wouldn't give me no heat, no electric, so I had to move out on my own. I found a place on Ocean Shore.
So now you live down at Advocacy Skills.
Ocean Shore.
And do you like it down there?
Yes, I do like it on the shore, yes.
What do you do?
I go for coffees, go shopping with the staff and go get groceries and stuff.
When you, did you hire your own staff?
I have my own staff, yes.
Did you interview them?
Yes.
And have you had some staffing issues in the past?
Yes.
And now, how is it?
Now everything's okay now.
One of the things that Bruce has already impressed us with is that when he hired his staff, he took that very seriously. And from the first day he received support from his staff, you made a list for them of all the things you wanted to accomplish that day, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you still do that?
Yes.
So he's definitely very goal-oriented, and he is in charge of his life. Is that right?
Yes.
What is the best part of living on your own?
I got one more thing to do there.
Could you say that again?
More thing to do there. I get to go places now. I get to walk places now. Go to the store. And go one more and go buy them stuff and meet different staffs and clients.
Are you a member of a club?
I went to 2 clubs.
What one?
Just the most.
Do you and Darryl, have you and Darryl gotten together in the past?
No, I didn't get on there. No, not that.
What have you done together? At Christmas time, what did you do?
Christmas time, I make on my house. I make Christmas cookies
And cheesecake?
and cheesecake.
Would you want to move back?
No.
Even though those rotten things happen to you?
Right.
Jeez.
So next, we're going to talk about Nick, Frank, and Lisa. This is an evolution. I love these pictures because this just looks like the happiest family I've ever seen. And it's really about the relationship. So Lisa, I'm going to ask if you can kind of explain to the group how the living arrangement is between you guys and how it came to be.
We actually own a duplex, and the guys live on one side, and we live on the other side. And actually, we were approached by one of Nick's friends, Tess Kersner, who had been an advocate for Nick and had been interacting with him and hanging out with him. I think you were hanging out with Steve too, right? And there was just a situation where Nick needed a place to live. We were open to having a roommate at the time. And so we said, let's meet. So Tess brought Nick over and we met, and we said, well, let's give it a go. I mean, it was a new experience for us, new experience for him, and we just said, let's see if it works, you know. And then after a while, I had a tenant next door, and they had moved out. So then we transitioned Nick over to this apartment, and my dad also stays with us, and he's not in Florida. And then my wife and I live on the other side, and then we've had Nick 8 years. He's really part of the family now. We sort of our motley crew, we call it. Bad News Bears when we go to the dog park. And so then after, you know, we lived like that, Frank came along about 2 years ago, and Frank actually had been in a group home, and then he transitioned to another group home, and then he moved in with Thomas. And then Thomas moved to Kentucky, and then he needed a place to go, so he came along. And I think with Nick's guidance and modeling, Frank fell into the routine and has done well too, huh? You love when I write about you.
What types of changes have you seen in both of them since they've been living with you?
Well, I know Nick can attest to this. When Nick first moved in, Nick could not make a decision about anything. We go to the grocery store and it's like, what kind of cereal do you want? And he'd say, you know me. And I'd say, I do know you, but you don't have to pick your own cereal out. I mean, just little things like lunch meat or cereal, or he would make decisions. And you know, once he started making those decisions, it takes him a long time to be able to make decisions or even feel comfortable, but he now has routes, he can go, he walks in the community by himself. Yeah, you can try, I mean, he has relationships with people. I mean, he goes down to Chicago Music, he knows Billy, he knows a lot of people in the music scene. And just, I think he's just an overall more confident person. Frank, we've only had 2 years, but what was a huge change for Frank is that he used to be real aggressive when he lived in the group home. He was actually a 4-person supine, hit the lifeline button and the cops would come. I mean, he had some pretty significant issues. Not anymore. And now it's like, Dave sort of did like a behavior plan for Frank in our home, where we say, find your happy face. And it's just his cue, like, there's nothing to be mad about. Find your happy face. And if not, then we say, go upstairs and chill out in your room. Take some time to reset. And in the midst of doing that, though, we've also decreased. He was on almost 900 milligrams of gabapentin, in addition to lithium and resveratrol, and he's only down to the resveratrol and the lithium. And we're going to start getting him off the resveratrol. And, you know, since he's had that med change, I mean, his face is cleared up, he's lost weight, he's happier. I mean, but I also think they know that they're, you know, I mean, Nick will tell you, what do I say? If you want to leave, go ahead, it's up to you. But nobody will come to our home, even the National Guard, and take you out of our home without a fight. There will be a fight. If he wants to leave, it'll be by his choice, you know, but he will always have a home. And he's telling you he got $5.
So Nick, do you have any comments about your living arrangements with Lisa and Frank?
It's all good. It's all
You want to
good.
do mine?
Forgot to give you the mic.
No worries. I'm cooking matata.
So you like living with Lisa?
Yeah.
We've got some pictures up here of you.
Oh yeah.
There seems to be a common theme in those pictures. What is one of your biggest interests?
My instruments.
Yesterday when we were looking at these, as soon as the slide came on, he started telling me what they all were.
Yeah.
What is this one?
That's the zither. It's actually a tenor zither. There's a whole family.
You built those.
Yeah.
And you sell your instruments?
Yep.
And you were in a band for a while, you want to tell us about that?
Oh yeah, Raggedy. It was kind of strange. The instrument I played was the soprano ukulele. I mean, it's just so tiny.
You did.
I remember where I got it from, the Blue Heron. I bought it up there for $40. And no sooner did I buy it than 2 members of Rusted Root signed it. How bizarre was that?
What was the name of your band?
Raggedy.
Raggedy.
I'm not really sure what genre of music we were, but I played the quietest instrument in the whole thing.
So what are you doing now since you stopped the band?
Well, I'm still kind of in limbo, but I'm hoping to get some actual gigs out in the community once again.
Because his plan has changed, you know, his plan has changed. He actually has staffing during the day, which is Debbie. Who I don't know what we would do without her sometimes. She's just been a wonderful influence. And Stephanie works with Frank, who again, you know, just helps out in general because it's like the guys leave happy and come home happy, and that's. But Nick's plan has really evolved because at first it was going to be business, and then it was going to be band, and then it was going to be performer. Now it's sort of widened so you can do a variety of things. So he doesn't have to just focus on this. He he can do what he wants to do.
Are you still building instruments?
Well, yes and no.
When you build them, what do you build them out of?
We have a specific type of wood, it's called luan, which is like a subflorin. We do the body out of that. The neck is actually a dowel rod cut in half. We do the headstock out of like a piece of lumber. The sides is probably the most interesting feature. Popsicle sticks or tongue depressors, depending on the size.
So what's your relationship with Frank?
We actually used to go to the resource center together.
So you knew each other before you all did?
Yeah.
And how are things now?
There's still some mild bugs to work out.
One of the things you were talking to us yesterday is that you're usually looking out for Frank,
Yeah.
and you're kind of
My
taking on
son,
the
the big
role,
brother.
Yeah.
taking on that big brother role.
Yeah.
Frank, do you like Nick being your big brother?
Yeah, at first it was awkward just because, you know, Nick had been with us, you know, is long, I mean, we consider him my brother, you know. And then when Frank came along, it's like, you know, it's hard to transition because it's, I mean, Rebecca, Nick and I are used to being the three amigos. And
Yeah,
we
we
go
go
shopping,
everywhere.
we're the amigos, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes there's some jealousy, and, you know, it was hard for Nick to understand that, you know, Frank's developmental disability is different from his, and sometimes he needs different support. It's not necessarily we're giving him more attention, it's just sometimes he needs more guidance and support. And it was interesting because I had told the story yesterday, Frank got his wallet stolen at JCC. And we were talking, I was talking to him about it. And Nick sort of comes in the back door and starts lecturing him about, you need to keep your wallet in your pocket. And then says, well, how much
Keep
did,
an eye on it.
how much did you lose? And then he goes in his wallet, gets $20 out and gives it to Frank, and I'm sitting there like, you know, proud mom, ready to start crying. It's like, I'm just so shocked that he had that reciprocity to say.
That's one of the things I'm working on.
Yeah, here's $20, and I'm thinking, oh my God, it just, you know, and then you said to him, and you put this in your wallet, make sure you keep your wallet in the car, or something, you know, and I'm thinking, oh my God, that's something we would have to say to him, you know, so it was just, it's really neat though, where Nick would say, don't do that, or go get your clothes, or it's time for you to do this, and Frank listens, which is even more impressive, because he doesn't like being bossed around. He's the boss.
That's a good relationship, that you know,
Right.
you do tend to listen to your older brother as opposed to mom telling you what to do.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, Lisa, you made a really good point that we didn't really touch on yesterday about how Nick's plan has changed so much over the last several years. And it's such a, that's life, you know, life changes, you know, I think everybody has a time in their life where they think they're going down one path and something changes and you go this way. And I think that's kind of the beauty of the self-direction planning, is that can change when your life changes. And certainly there's some work that goes into changing those plans, but it does change as your life. So as Nick's life has changed over the last several years, his path has kind of moved along with that. And I think that was a really good
And I think like what Bruce was saying about his staffing, I mean, Nick had gone through a couple staff until he hired Debbie. And it's real important that you get a staff who is respectful of the person and genuinely likes the person. They have to like the person. And, you know, Debbie was instrumental, because when Nick does get bored or can't focus or something, Debbie's been real creative in how she guides him through that and works through that. Rather than criticism, she sort of regroup, reset, move on, you know. And I think having a staff that genuinely respects the person and likes the person, you gotta have the right staff. If you don't have the right staff, you're.
Has to be a good fit, right, Bruce?
Well, in a point from what I think, actually how I think of people as their own instrument, which has their own voice. Now, once in a while, when we get out of tune, we have to be retuned to specific. And
We need
goes
to
from
quote
there.
that someplace.
Yeah.
By Nick Patrick.
That's true.
That's
I have a lot
perfect.
of those.
Just doesn't make sense, you know.
She hit the nail right on the head.
Frank, are you happy? Yeah. You're smiling. How
Always at me.
Do you like living with Nick and Lisa and Rebecca? Yeah. Do you have pets? Yeah. You help take care of the pets too?
Nah.
Yeah.
We have a little zoo. Don't report us, we have over 11 dogs, we have 5.
It's really 2 households.
Yeah, that's what we say too.
So, Frank, what's your favorite part about living with them?
Yeah, how you gonna say Rebecca?
That's all right.
He prefers Rebecca over me, that's okay. He likes the cooking and he likes, doing that kind of stuff and, we're out in the garage and Nick and I do yard work and, he's just not interested in that. So he likes the cooking and the baking and.
What are these pictures of, Frank? Is that? And then there's you and Nick? Yeah.
Where was
On
that?
vacation?
I forget.
That was vacation.
Oh.
You guys had red shirts on.
Yeah.
Stephanie's his staff, Stephanie Woods.
Oh, that's from the wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking snazzy.
Ah, there's me.
This is Kyle. Kyle moved out of he lived in a supported apartment and he moved out about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago.
Yep.
And along the way, Kyle has learned a lot of life lessons, and we're going to talk about them. But there's some of the life lessons that we might take for granted. I think we've all learned life lessons as we kind of moved out of our parents' home and got older, and we just didn't quite think about them as life lessons. It was just kind of our life. And Kyle is another case where we learned an awful lot. And I'm going to talk to your aunt for a minute, your Aunt Maureen, who kind of helped through the process. And I know you and your family have been very involved with Kyle and his transition to his own apartment in the last couple of years. How did you feel when you learned that Kyle was looking into getting his own apartment and he knew he was going to be moving out without the 24/7 supports?
Naturally, like any family member, you're scared. You know what's out in the world. There's people there to take advantage of people like Kyle. And so you're worried. So Kyle and I sat down and we had a long, long talk.
Yeah.
And I was picturing him in an apartment by himself in the middle of nowhere and with decisions, because we've all lived on our own before, but Kyle has never lived on his own. So, you get concerned. And so then once Kyle and I talked, I was on board. And then Kevin Anderson also helped tremendously in the decisions too, and helping. Any questions I have, he answered them. So then the rest of the family had the same reservations I did. And then I just looked at them and I said, he'll be fine. And he is. He's doing wonderful, elegant chores.
So, Kyle, you and Bruce live in the same apartment building, right?
Yes.
Well, the same apartment complex.
Yeah.
Marie, what kind of changes have you seen in Kyle over the last couple of years since he's been on his own?
Well, Kyle has always been an individual that he doesn't like confrontations. He doesn't, if somebody's arguing, he'll walk away. But with Kyle, he gives you an answer what he thinks you want to hear. And he's not done that. Because now if I ask him a question, I'll get an answer. But if he has a disagreement with somebody, like when he was working, he was explaining about people at Home Depot, how people can be nasty and everything like that. And Kyle, the customers, you just deal with it and just give them a smile. And Kyle, if anybody knows Kyle, always has a smile. And so maturity and decisions, and he cooks now. Before, he never cooked before. But just the maturity level that he has gone through. being on his own. He's like an adult. Last year, we went to a wedding in New York City for my niece. And it was just sitting around there, we're all at a little bar, and we're all drinking and laughing and joking, and it was just, we're realizing he's an adult. He's 20-some years old now.
He's fitting in.
Yeah, it was great.
So you've definitely seen a change in him and his maturity level since he's had to start making decisions on his own?
Oh, yes, very much so. He's a lot of fun to be around. At least he talks, he can't go anywhere without somebody knowing Kyle.
Kyle, look at the picture up here.
That is me from the baseball at the Jammers game.
You like doing that?
Yes, I did. It was fun too.
What's the best part about living on your own?
Well, I love to live on my own. I know how to cook now, so yeah.
Who supports you? Like who's got your back?
Kevin's got my back and Will's got my back.
How about the woman sitting next to you?
My aunt too, yes.
She was nice enough to come here today to have your back.
Yeah, she did.
Can you tell us some stories, and Beth's probably gonna ask you some questions, but some lessons you learned along the way? When you first moved out, did everything go smoothly?
Yeah, it did.
Can you tell us about when you fell off your bike?
Oh, I got hurt.
What'd you do?
I called Kevin to tell him come over and help me.
And then what did you guys have to go do?
Go on my butt, a kick.
First aid kit? Because you didn't
Yeah.
have one, right?
Right.
It's one of those things that we didn't think of at the time, right? But now you have one?
Yes, still.
Can you tell us about your dishwasher?
Oh, I had to get a new one because mine was not good, so I had to get a new one.
Could you tell us one of the things that did you grow up with a dishwasher?
I grew up with it, yeah.
Did you? What happened when the staff showed you how to use the dishwasher and you opened up the dishwasher while it was running? What happened?
It flooded.
We didn't tell you that, did we? That you shouldn't have
No.
And wasn't there something with the bathroom and the toilet?
Yeah,
What happened with the toilet?
it was getting flooded.
It overflowed?
Yes, I had to do it.
Did you have a plunger?
Yes,
Well, you have one now, right?
still.
But yeah. Initially, Kyle taught us that everybody needs a plunger, everybody needs a first aid kit, right?
That's right.
Silverware, plunger, and first aid kit. There's three things in a matter of a couple of moves that we just didn't think of.
That's right.
You know how to do
Yes.
We've got some other pictures of you, Kyle, up here.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've identified is that sometimes when somebody moves out, they're used to having so many people around them all the time that they get a little bit lonely. And this is a picture of Kyle at happy hour. And a lot of individuals of self-directed life get together once a month for happy hour. And that was Kyle at Christmas time. Right?
That's right.
Do you look forward to happy hour?
I can't wait for it.
Next up, we have Tim. Tim is a parent that has gone through a lot to advocate for his son. And Tim is at the very beginning stages of self-direction for his son, Devin. And there's Devin up there too in the picture.
Big guy.
He's a big guy. I was explaining this yesterday to everybody, and they said, now Tim is a tall guy, so if that just gives you any indication how big Devin is, Tim's a tall guy. But Tim continues to advocate very strongly for Devin and his needs. And in the process, Tim has done some learning that all of us do just so he can better advocate for his son. One of them is when someone's going through self-direction, they have to have a support broker. And the support broker is the person that writes the plan. And there's a lot of training that's involved in becoming a support broker. And Tim went through that training just so that he understood the process, so that he knew how to advocate for his son better, so he would understand what was needed, what was required, so that he knew what he wanted to ask for and what he needed to get for his son. So can you kind of describe that process that you went through when making that decision?
Yeah. Our son Devin is 25 years old. He lives with us. And he's been in various programs over the years. He's never gone to his own school district. He started going to, we live in Silver Creek, and he went to Springville initially. And then he went to Eden, and then he went to Summit, and then he came back to Orchard Park Middle School, and finally graduated from Easter Rock. So he's well traveled, and he's been exposed to a lot of different situations, some of them very good, and some of them okay, not so good. And we had a situation with the agency we were working with where they had to terminate Devin's direct care staff. Not for an incident that had anything to do with Dev, but with something that had happened outside of work. And so that forced us into a situation that we had to sit back and look at what kind of programs, okay, were available for Devin. I mentioned that Devin went to Orchard Park, and then he graduated from Easter Rock. When he was in Orchard Park, at middle school level, he had a very innovative teacher who felt that academics should be a very small part of their day, and community activities should be a very large part of their day. So she started getting her kids jobs. Devin had a job at 13 in the community, and he worked at the school. He filled vending machines, and he did those kinds of things. And he seemed to thrive in that kind of environment. So we had that program. We continued that program through high school. And when we went from high school to the adult program, this individual that was terminated was part of our transition staff, and so he knew, okay, the program very well, and had been with Devin for a couple of years. So I just wanted to explain that, you know, when we changed and why we wanted to go to self-direction was because we were trying to continue what had been successful for them. And with the broker training, I felt, having been a training officer in my police department, okay, I knew the value of the training. And it's hard for as a parent to make these tough decisions without realizing what was going into it and what we would have to justify, okay, to be able to make this part of our budget. And so I felt that was, I don't know that I'll ever be a broker, but I think it was beneficial to me to know, okay, what went into it. And it's an awful lot of work. It's a big load for the broker, they do a tremendous job. It's a big load for the MSC, they do a tremendous job. And getting all that information and all that justification put forward for it.
So what do you feel you got out of going through all of that training?
A better understanding of the system. Because unfortunately as parents, I don't think we were able to get involved as much as we'd like. For years I was a police officer for 32 years, police chief, retired as a police chief. I had a difficult job. My wife was a nursing supervisor. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago when I retired, okay, that I was able to be involved to the extent that I wanted to be involved. But everybody's got to make a living, and everybody wants to get their pension and do what they do. But so then I began to be more and more involved in the program, and I saw the benefit, okay, of having that level of training and the ability to look at things a lot differently. Because when we didn't have people, it takes, everybody who's in the business knows it takes a long time to go through a process to get new hires. And there's, you know, there's a lot of, there's drug testing and there's backgrounds and it takes a long time to get another. So during that time, my wife and I were doing the program. We were taking Devin, okay, to his work, we were taking Devin to the gym, we were taking Devin to lunch, we were doing those things because my son doesn't like change. He likes things to be done the same way every day. So we felt we had to do that. And we did it for the better part of 3 months until we were able to get more staff training and people on board to do it.
What's the current status with Devin's self-direction plan?
We just launched just last month. So we were able to hire one staff. We're looking to hire a second staff. We may have a unique situation. We have the girlfriend of one of our current staff is an occupational therapist. She works for Jamestown, and she has the summers off. And she thought she would like to work. So we were gonna have a boyfriend-girlfriend team and with Devin, and they would be doing the same thing that we do. We have a schedule on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, where Devin goes to a local pizzeria and he makes pizza boxes and does sales for them for lunch. Goes to the gym, walks the track. He likes to walk. Swims, loves to swim. He swims 5 days a week during the program, and then he gets to choose where he goes to lunch. One of the things that Mindy Kemp did at Orchard Park was she made these kids go to all the restaurants, from the fast food all the way to the higher end, and she would go there before and talk to the waitresses and make sure that they made the kids do, order from the menu, made the kids pay, made all those things so that they were incorporated within the community. So he's had those abilities, and we feel that was a good program for him, and he enjoys it, so we want to continue.
And Devin's plan was approved for him to have 2 staff at one time, correct? Which
Right.
for us is unprecedented, that had
Little
never
struggle,
happened.
little struggle.
And can you talk a little bit about that process of how that came to get approved? Because I know you were very involved in that happening.
Well, we saw the need to have 2 staff, not because Devin is big, because he's a German giant. He doesn't have little behaviors. We wanted 2 staff because Devin was going into a lot of different situations. And having been in the law enforcement business, I know that there are different responses to emergency situations. Okay, if you go to the city of Buffalo and have an incident, you're going to get one response. If you go to the village of Orchard Park, you're going to get another response. Okay, and we want, because Devin is virtually doesn't communicate unless he would have the ability to use a tool, iPad, and those kinds of things he would be able to tell you. We wanted to ensure that there was somebody there at all times, should somebody get sick or there was a problem, that somebody could help communicate for Devin. Okay, if he couldn't, because he wouldn't respond to the norm. Okay, I was a cop for 32 years. They would ask you for your ID, and Devin would just give him his wallet. Right, so we had to tell Devin, this is what they're going to ask you. They're going to want to know your ID. So we had a packet made up for Devin that shows his disability and his lack of communication and all the numbers and everything. And he would just present that to them so that they could. We just thought it was better to have that, to have the 2 people. But we submitted that and we got turned down. So I wrote him a letter, and I outlined some things that I thought they were applying, an old standard to a new program, and why did they want to do that? Because this was something that was going to allow him to have the freedom, okay, to go to these places and to be active in these activities. And I asked for a meeting, and within a couple of weeks, within 2 weeks, then they said, well, okay, we'll accept this explanation and we'll do what you said.
So your meeting was with OPWGD, correct?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah.
So when you escalated that, you escalated it first within your region with the OPWDD director in Region 1. Did you have to end up in Albany, or were they able to give you the approval locally?
Yeah.
When you escalated the...
They never even responded to the meeting, correct?
Right.
So we were able to get his plan approved, but I think because of that letter and his request, there was a great partnership there. And it did finally go to Albany to be approved, but we didn't have to entertain a meeting.
Okay. And did you have to take a reduction in number of total hours in order to get double staff, or did his PRA just go up?
We were able to move his PRA right to the top. I think we got a couple thousand shy, well, maybe 20,000 shy.
No, we're good.
Right? But we were able to justify, and the MSC and the FI did a good job with that.
Excellent. I'm a parent, so. It's important because not all parents have the advocacy skills that Tim, you and I do. And so the issue is we need to figure out how we can help families out there that can't do that. Because as self-direction becomes more and more typical, right, which is what they're driving, we need to make sure that we are zealous in that field. So, sorry, I just was curious.
You know what I would like to see, now that you're bringing it up, I would like to see, okay, OPWD get into like a systems navigator, where you as a parent, I as a parent, okay, want to do a certain kind of program, we want some activities to it. We can submit that question. They can look at the state reg, they can look at the Fed reg, and they can make a decision on whether or not that's something we can do. And I think that would be very beneficial to everybody who's on this journey.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
working on it. We can talk offline. I'd love to chat with you. I'm gonna be your best friend, buddy.
Okay?
Well, thank you, Tim, because I know we've been very grateful to have Tim's knowledge base and his expertise. He sits on some of our board advisory committees too, to kind of bring that to the table. And he's always, helping us think of things that, we wouldn't necessarily think of it from the parent's perspective that we need. So, as we go through this process with everybody here and all the different stages and things that we've learned, there's definitely challenges. But one of the things that we recognized is that not everything always went smoothly or the way that we thought it was going to go. But it really didn't for any of us either. When I moved out, I'm sure I had things happen. I don't think I had a plunger either, Kyle. So you just never have it till you need it. And it's those things that it's okay. Doesn't matter. Darryl didn't have any silverware, but he didn't starve either. He had a plan and he worked it out and it was fine. But one of the things that everybody here has in common is the determination to make it work. We asked Kyle and Bruce and Darryl if any of them wanted to move back to their old living arrangements, and they were all pretty affirmative that they do not want to move back to that situation. And we kind of talk about this like the game of life. You kind of go through different paths, and that's your life, and they should have their chance to live it the way that they want. These couple of graphics we picked up here, just because there was a couple keywords in them that really describes the journey that they go through. Rights, community, person, ability, social, relationships, passion, connections, and purpose. And all of them are developing those relationships and are becoming true citizens in their community. It really ties in with what Hans was talking about in the keynote of true citizenship, and all of them are working on that and building those relationships and those connections outside of paid people in their lives, which I think is really important, that they have people in their lives that are not just paid to be in their lives. So Beth and I both are quote junkies, so we use a lot of quotes.
Oh, sure. Life is short, live your dream and share your passion. And, they say that you only live once, but really you only die once. I mean, you really have a life, and hopefully, everybody here can support people, live the life that they want and really listen to what they say. Kyle, you were kind of talking about this quote yesterday: if you can dream it, you can do it. And there's always a way to do it. We just have to figure out how. And when we, just for an example with Tim, when we were partnering with Tim, it was really a partnership. When the DDSO said yes, they called Kevin and said, yes, we're going to approve his plan. We're like, what did you do? Because it kind of went a little bit smoother than we thought it was going to be. He kind of paved the way for a lot of other people for some unique plans. So.
And one of the things we talked about too the other day with these individuals is, as time goes on, life changes. It changes for anybody. So, as they get older and they're aging, they might not be living in their own apartment forever. That's certainly the goal, and to provide them the supports that they need. But even if their living situation has to change 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, at least they were able to live their lives the way they wanted to do it for as long as they possibly could. So that's something that I think, we're pretty proud of for all of them.
Just like any of us.
Right, that would happen with any of us. So here's some of the things that we've learned along the way that really nobody wants to go back. Everyone has been developing relationships. Last night, Bruce and Kyle and Darryl were talking about possibly taking a trip to Hershey Park. They've gotten together and done some things. Everybody's experienced personal growth. They all have increased confidence in making their own decisions. I know from my perspective, working with Darryl, he definitely makes his own decisions, and none of us are gonna tell him, even if we don't agree with the decision. There's decisions Darryl makes that I probably wouldn't do, but it's his life and it's his decision, and we respect that, and Darryl does what he wants to do. We've mentioned this a little bit earlier about loneliness becoming a factor, that, you know, there has been times where when someone first moves out, that there's that period of time just a little bit lonely. And so we're trying to work with anybody, trying to bring them together so that they have a friend to call or someone that they can get together with. And it's working out well. There's certainly a lot of things to do in the community and getting them connected with the community so that they aren't feeling that loneliness as they're used to. You know, Darryl came from a home of, 10 people with a lot of noise. All of a sudden he's living in his own place and his cat is pretty quiet.
And we're trying to foster and nurture those relationships. You know, the staff that they are supporting them are really, kind of think about that and network that and help them foster that and try to teach them those skills so that they can be successful in those relationships.
Will it be easy? Will it be worth it? So every bit. One of the things we just wanted to ask the panel one last question, and I'm going to start with you, Bruce. Okay? What's the favorite part of your life?
Favorite part of your life? What did you talk about yesterday? You talked about being able to come and go.
I'll be come and go, please. Please.
There was one other thing that you talked about that you learned when you moved out on your own. Do you remember what that was that you told Beth that you learned about yourself? Being a nice person?
I'm a nice person.
That's something you said you learned once you were
I
living
learned
on your
everything
own.
about one thing.
When he had shared that when he lived in the group home, that he did not know that he was a nice person, that he learned that.
Kyle, what's the favorite part of your life today?
My favorite part is being here today.
What about you, Darryl? What's the favorite part of your life? What do you love about your life today? Is there relationships or you told me something yesterday that who do you live with? That's your favorite thing? Yeah, the fact that you have your own pet that you're responsible for. What about you, Frank? What's the favorite part of your life? You happy? Yeah. Your family?
Yeah, you and George is happy. They're friends, he's saying friends.
What about you, Nick? What's the favorite part of your life?
Well, let's see. I have at least 3 things.
Okay.
I have Lisa, my instruments, and...
Am I first?
Lisa, my instruments, and being, the person I am not. I learned a lot over the past, I would say, 30 years.
There's always life lessons, isn't there?
Oh yeah, always.
I know we're getting close on time, but does anybody have any questions that they want to ask of any of them before we break for lunch? Going once? Going twice? Okay. So lunch is going to be up in the same room that we were in for the keynote. So the stairs are there. There's also a secret passageway stair over here that gets you right up into that room at the entrance you came in. So if you are thinking of Princeton, you can go up that way as well.